Welcome to the Airfleet Debrief, where our goal is to teach marketers something that they can use right away in 15 minutes or less. And I've tricked another marketer into joining me and accepting this challenge. Jeff Loeb, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for inviting me. My name is Jeff Loeb. I'm a partner in CMO at Chief Outsiders, which is the world's largest fractional CMO consulting firm. I work with mid-size companies on their growth strategies and have spent the last almost 30 years doing technology marketing with a specialization really on B2B SaaS.
And you are, and I'm comfortable saying this, one of the foremost experts on ABM, I'm so excited to talk to you about this. So because we only have 15 minutes, we have to keep it kind of narrow, unfortunately. But I was lucky enough to discuss this in a podcast with you, and what you hit on in the podcast, it didn't really surprise me, but I think it's something that isn't leveraged enough. And a lot of that is because people either don't know about it or don't have the technical setup. And that is intent data, particularly first-party signals. Where have you integrated that information into your planning or execution?
Sure. ABM programs really start with the idea of my target list, right? So who am I focusing on? So a lot of time up front is spent on getting that target list correct. So that's kind of point number one. And in terms of takeaways for in 15 minutes, right? So getting that target list really solid with the account and the contact level is kind of point number one. Now, the thing is with ABM programs, since we're doing cold outreach, unlike inbound where people are coming to us with some level of intent, when we're doing outreach, the good news is that we're 100% targeting our ideal customer profile, right? So every single company, every person that we talk to is going to be the right person. Challenge is that they may or may not be in market. So the question then becomes, how do we increase the chances of us hitting somebody that's in market or has some level of purchase intent? And that's where intent data comes in, right? So it helps us to identify people that are closer to purchasing. So now more specifically to your question, so how do you apply that? So we apply it really in the targeting process. So who are we going to focus our orchestrated ABM motion on? Because ABM by definition means that we're spending less money and time targeting a really broad audience. And more time and more touches and more concentrated effort on going after a concentrated audience. So we want those people that we're focused on, that we're putting all this time and money and attention to be the right people. So using that intent data to help us identify those people that we want to target is the first place.
I'm going to nerd out just a little bit. You got to do the glasses shove with the nerd out, but where I've seen this work
Right
really
back at
well. Yeah. Where I've seen this work really well is in a highly sophisticated, at least in terms of data organization, that had a customer data platform. And where that came in handy is we could take the information we were getting from Google Analytics. We also integrated IP de-anonymization. And while those aren't necessarily very good at identifying individuals, they're actually pretty fabulous at identifying companies in a lot of cases. So being able to see who's on your website and which pages they're hitting can be really useful, and it can help reduce some of the back and forth arguments you often, as a marketer, I can say this, we often have with the sales team over who should be included on the list and who shouldn't be. Did that all make sense?
Yeah, 100% agree. And so the idea of first party data, right? So first party intent are signals that we're seeing directly with kind of within the four corners of our world. Because there's also third-party intent signals, but those tend to be weaker and they tend to be non-proprietary. So many different companies can have access to those same third-party signals. So first-party intent signals are our best. Now, of course, somebody comes to the website and fills out a form. Wow, that's a that's a really strong signal. But then that lends itself a little bit more to kind of an inbound motion. But of course, you can take those form fills and include them in your target accounts. But exactly what you were onto there is one of my favorite tricks, is to use a tool that allows us to de-anonymize traffic that's coming to the website, just as you described, and that tells us exactly who, from a company perspective, who is visiting the website. And as you mentioned, you can see which pages and how many pages, so you can get an idea of level of intent, even if it's anonymous. And those are phenomenal signals that we can use then to help with our first party intent data to put together our target lists.
And I like how you brought up third-party signals, because not all of us have the benefit of having a lot of brand awareness out in the market. So tools like G2, Capterra, those sorts of tools will often have an integration with your CRM and pass which accounts are researching key terms. So the trick here is to have somebody on your team who's pretty well versed at analytics to narrow down the terms that are really applicable to your business, and then leverage that as an additional data source to figure out these are the accounts we should target. I love this. I'm getting goosebumps because I'm a nerd. So let's talk about a little bit later in the process. Perhaps we're running a pilot. We have a highly targeted list. How do you think about data and measuring what has been effective?
Well, so let's say we've gone through the process of developing our list, and once we have our list of companies, then we've got to do contact discovery, and we'll identify the 3, the 5, the 10, whatever kind of contacts that we want to include in our program. And then we begin our orchestrated outreach, right, which is really the unique characteristic of an ABM program, is the orchestration of all the sales and marketing activities. So depending upon the orchestration, so the set of activities, that drives what the measurements are. So frequently, you may start an ABM program with more of an awareness play, where maybe we do some advertising, some LinkedIn advertising, for example. So the first thing that we'd want to measure is the number of impressions that we're getting from that advertising campaign, and then also to see if they're clicking all the way through, to come to the website or to convert. So that would be the first point of conversion, and then often times. You may start a second stage of the ABM campaign. The outreach might be marketing emails. So the metrics there would be the traditional open rate type metrics and conversion rate metrics on those emails. Oftentimes, another kind of part of the orchestrated set of touches is some type of social media engagement. So maybe we're asking the sales team to connect with the contacts at that company. So the things that we would measure are connection rates, right? Did people accept your connection? And then if there was any additional engagement. And then we may move into more of a traditional sales outreach cycle, where there's some combination of sales direct touch outreach or phone calls as well. So those are all things that we can measure. And then of course we want to do this at the account level. In the ideal world, we're able to look at all these performance measurements, not only at the individual contact level, but to see how the overall at the customer level, what the engagement is there.
And I like how you're talking through pushing them further down the funnel. So a lot of times on social media and Google Ads, we have minimum audience requirements that aren't always met by our custom audience we create with our targeted list. So I like that you're using these engagement signals from your own website to figure out whether or not that those campaigns are resonating. It's going to show everybody, but it's also giving you the ability to narrow down to your target audience and see those folks. And then I'm thinking about the kinds of plays we see a lot during sales outreach and giving them valued assets that are perhaps ungated, but having that kind of enrichment on your website allows you to still see a lot of these things, even though you may not have a form in front of them. And that really gives a nice experience. I would appreciate it anyway.
Yeah, for sure, right? So we want to, the key is to try to measure engagement. So at a higher level, what are we trying to do in the program? Because we're reaching out to people that may not be in market, we're reaching them higher in the funnel, and they may have a purchase decision that's 6 months away, 12 months away, 18 months away. So at that early stage, we're really trying to drive engagement, to get them familiar with our brand. We want to impress them with our brand. So we want to make sure that they're seeing our brand impressions. And then, I had one of my mentors had an expression that, if a prospect isn't in our funnel, they're in a competitor's funnel. So even if they're not ready to buy, they're still 6 or 12 months away. I want them to be in our funnel and getting information from us. Will come to us first when they are ready to buy. So really driving that engagement up front is critical.
Fabulous. Well, I think we made our 15-minute mark and then some. Jeff, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about where people can find you and Chief Outsiders.
Yeah, sure. So chiefoutsiders.com is where you can find us, and you can find my profile there. So Jeff Loeb, or of course, you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
You also have a YouTube channel that I do want to mention that we will link in the LinkedIn Live links. That's my brain just shorted for a second. It's fine. And you also have a fantastic resource that kind of maps out when ABM is right for people and how to think about that. So perhaps we'll link that as well.
Yeah, awesome. We put together, me and my colleague, Carol Everson, put together an ebook on that topic. So that would be awesome to provide that link.